walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right, we're back for our Thursday edition of this week's episode, and we got a doozy for you guys. We had an interview with Don Thacker, but he will be joining us on this episode, which is part 2 of this week, and it's called Mr. Meat Pants. And you'll find out soon enough.
At first, I was kind of iffy about that title, but man, we worked with magic.
Dude, like, you know, it's interesting how this game is played with people, because it's like, you don't want to put something out there that's not good, but it's like you're only allotted a certain amount of time that you can do this shit, you know? Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to go with it, but either way, guys, we hope you had a great Monday. Through Thursday today. We've made it past the hump. That's an achievement in itself. But we hope you enjoyed the first part of our week with episode number 1, the Don Thacker experience, which we hope Don doesn't get upset with us about. I haven't heard anything yet. But yeah, so we're back for part 2 of episode 40. 40 episodes, dude.
Jesus.
I know you haven't been here for all of them, but 40 fucking episodes, man.
I think I've been on, what was Demon Orgy?
I don't know. Jesus Christ. I think it was like 18, maybe?
Yeah, that was my first day at work.
Your first day at work of not paid work. Yeah. Help donate towards the cause. I think we spend more money than we don't make any money.
We don't make any money.
Yeah, like YouTube is set up, but like I think I've made like $40 over the past 3 years. So, but anyway, guys, enough of that shit. It's Thursday. We're going to start it off right with a fucking grave plots this week for you with Don Thacker, the director of Motivational Growth. It's going to be fucking awesome, guys. So you're going to want to stick around for this grave plots. If you don't know what the fuck grave plots is right now, you're going to want to stick around. We'll tell you in just a moment. All right, guys, we are back, and we are going to be doing the grave plots. For those of you who do not know what grave plots is, it is a exercise in storytelling where we basically make up a plot of a movie by pulling a name out of a hat or a cup, for this instance, that we made up prior to this grave plots. Now, we've had everyone pick 2, including Don Thacker. So we're going to pull one of them out.
So you wouldn't even just lie and tell them you had a hat? Like, we have to be... This is voice only. You could at least...
Exactly.
You could at least lie to me and pretend there's an actual hat. Like, there's some production value.
That's what I said.
I'm the one that shined light on
every
that.
time I say hat, he corrects me. So I've learned to go
out.
halfway. I know, man. The production value's high here, man.
I don't know about you guys. I have a gigantic hat made of fucking solid gold over here. It's got a platinum bottom. It's full of ideas.
Yeah, guys, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling the names out of a golden skull with crystal eyes.
Yep. Yeah, that's the skull you showed me the picture of, right?
That's exactly the one.
Good. That's the one.
Yeah. So
Can you fill it with crystal and like have it served to you by a high expensive Instagram influencer?
Oh, dude, it's like being in the movie House 5, maybe.
I love it.
House 2 part 2.5, yeah. All right, I'm pulling one out now of the crystal skull or golden skull. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Oh, God, I hope it's a good one. Oh, it is one of Don Thacker's. It is
dude.
Mr. Meat Pants.
Oh, man. Are we allowed to say the other one that I put in there?
Yeah, let's say. What was it?
It was Fight, Bite, Destroy, which
Yes.
I kind of was hoping for. But Mr. Meat Pants, I guess we're going to do it.
Hey, this is magic. We can say that we drew that instead.
What about Midnight Meat Train? You know, remember that movie?
Right,
Midnight
yeah,
Meat
yeah.
Train? It was a great title for the premise. It was a perfect.
Ryui Kitamura, Clive Barker written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured the Mr. Meat Pants gets us something somewhere.
It's like a spoof. A spoof of Midnight Meat Train.
No. We have to ignore Midnight Meat Train. Mr.
Oh,
Meat
yeah, that
Pants-
never existed.
No.
So we just retell the story of the non-existent
Well,
movie.
if he really wanted to draw that one, I mean, like you guys were saying,
not
like, they
fair,
don't need to
though.
know.
Yeah, we got to do it realistic. It's the challenge that's the fun part.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so God damn it. Mr. Meat Pants, Patrick, go ahead. What do you think?
Mr. Meat Pants. All right.
Wait, I'm not allowed to say anything, right?
You can't lead us in any direction
Okay.
until both of us come up with a semi-basis for the story.
Sure.
That is out
Yeah,
there.
I immediately picture someone swinging their junk like a helicopter. You know, they call it meat spinning.
That's not. Nobody says that. Nobody's ever said that. You made that up.
It's Don's story. I'm just...
Is that like kind of like the meat that spirals around, the Euro meat or whatever?
No, never mind. I'm not even going to explain it. Just, okay, so Mr. Meat Pants. So maybe there's a guy who wears pants made of meat. Symbolically?
Like in protest or something?
Maybe he wears people's skin.
Oh, like their leather pants.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. It could be Mr. Meat Pants, and it's not necessarily just slabs of meat. You know, like, that'd be kind of weird, but maybe cool in the same respect.
So kind of like a Buffalo Bill thing.
It puts the meat on its skin, or it gets the hose again, kind of thing. Go ahead, jump into it.
So are we gonna stick with that idea? Because I'm not saying I don't hate it.
No, we're gonna do it. You're gonna have to. Yeah,
I love. He's like, I can't say I don't like it. Shit. You could not. Like
I know, he
it.
changed
It's a
it.
weird-ass idea. I think.
All right, so Mr.
he's gonna
Meat
help
Pants.
us out. We can throw our little idea out, and it doesn't have to stay that
Patrick,
way.
do me a favor. I'm not trying to influence you because I'm not allowed to influence you at this point. But just imagine a scenario where the name is stupid, but the movie is serious. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Like it's one of those kind of twists. I'm pitching that twist. Twist pitcher.
Yellow card. I'm just kidding.
Oh man.
So maybe it's a guy who's kind of like stuck in an era, and he has a certain style about him.
Okay.
These clothes that he's wearing is from the flesh of the people who he killed, who maybe demeaned him or made fun of his style or whatever.
Okay. All right, Don, you can come in now. Tap in.
No, I like that idea. I like the idea that it's like a very dark, very serious, like it's a serial killer movie.
It seems like, yeah.
He kills people. Maybe it's from his perspective, or maybe it's from the perspective of like a doctor, like very much like the Candyman, right? Where what's her face was a like a social worker, but it's like somebody brought on to like work the case to figure out like why people are coming in drugged and missing entire like swaths of their skin, and you find out that like there's this bro who very seriously is attempting to make like the highest of fashion, but out of people who are like morally or socially opposite to his ideals or something. Like some
What
kind
if
of
he's
weird,
like
high-minded-
rich and he's
yeah.
trying to like make clothes out of people who are disadvantaged of some sort?
Yeah.
Because it's like it's just a symbol of their richness, you know, like their stature.
So he like
what is
collects
it?
vagrants or something?
Well, not
It's the
vagrants
dangerous
necessarily.
prey or the Montague story where it's the highest fashion. Like you think cow leather is good. Some people like super rare yak leather or something, but really man is the best leather.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I like how you said yak leather.
I don't know.
Is that a thing? Is that a real thing?
maybe? You know, like rich people used to have like mink fur because minks are tiny, so you need like 5,000 of them to make like a mink fur jacket or whatever.
Right.
So like the idea would be human skin is the most rare and sought after, just like the most dangerous game. Like humans are the best thing to hunt or whatever. Like,
Right.
But they can't be fearful. You have to somehow kill them without.
And maybe
because
or it ruins the leather.
It taints the leather somehow. Yeah, like.
And maybe he has to, like, there's certain types of people he needs for certain types of fabric. Like, fat people make great, like, whatever. You
Purses.
know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally, yeah. And he's got like a whole kill box, and then he's got like a processing plant that he's built in his like three penthouse apartment building thing. And he's got like a display area where when it's cold, you use subcutaneous fat people outfits. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's got it all worked out, and he's got maybe there's an underground. Maybe there's a whole group of people, and he's Mr. Meat Pants. He's where you go to get your clothes. What if he can make it?
So
look
is that so? Mr. Meat Pants maybe like is like the street name for him, like the code word for.
Well, so I got it. Like the story, just like with Candyman, the story is told from the perspective of the disadvantaged people that are being hunted by him, or like what I think it was Most Dangerous Game, right? With Ice-T and Rutger
Oh
Hauer.
yeah.
The one where they find a homeless guy and they like feed him and they bring him hunting with them, and it turns out he's the prey. That's kind of the setup. Is we see it from the perspective of like the street guy. It feels like an 80s or 90s movie, so it's got to be like immigrant guy or the African American guy or the hero who's actually like morally, ethically, and culturally 10,000 times better than these stupid like horrific rich white people, right? Like,
right.
And I don't mean like all white people are bad or all. I'm not trying to make any kind of racial statement here. I'm just saying, in this movie, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, it's 2017, and I feel like
you can't say things like that, right?
Yeah, anything you say it can be misinterpreted, and like if you know me at all, you know that I'm like a massive equal rights advocate, and I'm all about. It's hard to say I'm an upper middle class, medium height, medium build, blonde hair, blue eyed white dude. So it's very hard. I also am cisgender, and I'm cisgender and heterosexual. I have a girlfriend. I'm super like I am the enemy of PC culture, even though everything I do and say supports like equality and whatever. So it just preface. If I mention culture or race or anything, I'm talking about how movies are presented. I'm thinking
character wise.
Yeah, I'm trying to put together a scenario where if we want to make a statement, if we want to make a Get Out style statement, Get Out is a good example of the kind of feel I'm talking about. A bunch of rich white people being falsely urban to entrap. But it's all you get the heebie-jeebies every time you see it. Like that's kind of the feel I'm looking at.
Social thriller.
I'm actually basing a lot of this on Candyman. Candyman was super legit in that like it had like an advantaged white lady being shown the disadvantaged African American perspective in projects of Chicago, right? In Green. And that was half of that movie is this white lady, the horror of being exposed to a lifestyle that she has no idea existed and is in part because of her people. Like that's the underlying tone of Candyman, right? Like the whole point of Candyman taking over the girl in the end and the white lady being the Candyman at the end. Sorry, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Candyman, like you have trouble.
Yeah,
Tony
something's wrong.
Dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we're having it from the perspective, just like in Candyman. Half of that movie, the first half of that movie, you get a lot of the perspective of the disadvantaged people. Let's do that. Let's have it from our main characters are street smart people, are people who are disadvantaged due to inequities in society, and they're being faced with like the underlying moral of our story is let's call out the privilege and disparity between advantaged people and disadvantaged people by making a horror movie out of it.
Right.
And by saying not only do they like take advantage of your taxes and take it, but they actually take your fucking skin, right, and wear it like clothes. And there's a guy, Mr. Meat Pants, who has to do the dirty business of, and nobody calls him that in the upper echelon of society. That's what his street name is, Mr. Meat Pants. And that's what they, just like the Candyman, how they would tell the kids, like, don't go out after midnight, the Candyman will come for you. It's, don't do this, that, or the other thing, or Mr. Meat Pants will get you.
So I kind of get notes of like, what's that movie where The Purge versus American Psycho and Candyman all wrapped into one.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Get Out was a great film, and I love the film. The problem with the film, though, is talking about how it's like a progressive look at how people see the world. That's a horror movie where there's a bunch of demon people in it.
Right.
And if you walk away from that saying, well, that's a realistic view of how white people treat African Americans, probably are some, but that is not, and I don't want to be like a not all white people kind of thing. That movie horrifically demonizes
It
white
totally
people,
does.
and it totally should. It is absolutely correct in doing so, and it does so well. And the fiction of the movie carries through perfectly, just in a way that Ice-T Rutger Hauer movie does. Those white people are the worst crazy fucking white people, and they carry around with them part of their demon thing is their privilege, but they're also fucking demons, right?
Right.
And I think that that's something we need to sell, because if you don't sell that, then Mr. Meat Pants is going to be a movie about how shitty white people are, and that's unfortunately not. That won't. It's not realistic.
So we'll make it more just classist, like
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
These people. It could be. You know how in Get Out they included the Asian guy who was also buying African bodies, right?
Oh yeah, that's right, huh?
The Asian guy was part of it. They put that in there to show you it's a classist thing as much as a racial thing, right? And it's just that in our country, inextricably, our class divisions are racial divisions. So those things are tied together. So I think Mr. Meat Pants is more a statement about classism and social construct than it is about black versus white versus Asian versus Middle Eastern versus whatever. But I think we can leverage that and definitely make it about an African American guy or a minority guy, or
maybe. And what I think would be kind of a cool little twist is that Mr. Meat Pants is somewhere in the middle. Maybe he was a disadvantaged person, and they brought him into the fold, and he's only doing it because
like he was like a struggler designer,
right, and
like
they
that.
used him to kill his own people, like his own class, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
No, that's great. And then there's a moral question about Mr. Meat Pants. The thing is, to have a good bad guy, you have to have some kind of moral question. Freddy Krueger there was a question there. Like, yes, he was a horrible person, but a town burned a guy alive in a fucking furnace.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm not saying he's a good dude and deserves revenge, but he was burned alive in a furnace. Like, there's some kind of hook, right?
Right.
The guy can be a terrible guy, but that hook makes him makes a choice. When you see that movie, Don't
Breathe?
Don't Breathe, right? That movie the guy was fucking crazy, but he didn't think so. He had an idea.
Right.
It was the worst idea, but he had some sort of moral question, and that's what made it a viable bad guy, even though it was bonkers and the turkey baster thing was crazy and all that. I still think that him having some sort of question morally made him an interesting character and not just a superhero blind dude.
You know what I think would be a good idea then? Is that, and this is way far in the future, but it would make sense somehow if we sort of built that, is if Mr. Meat Pants was, maybe he had a wife and or husband or whatever, someone that he cared about in some degree, and his class killed them. And so it was something ridiculous. It was a drug deal gone wrong. It was a drive-by shooting. It was somebody fell asleep and accidentally lit a house on fire. It's Detroit City. It's fucking December 30th. Weird,
it's
yeah.
Devil's Night, and they throw a Molotov into a building, and his family's inside. And he then decides at that point, it's not the individuals, it's the class. It's
exactly.
the people, right?
Exactly. And that's how the top 1% or whatever you want to call it decide to manipulate him.
Right.
But then he finds out that it was actually them that set the fire, sort of thing.
Like they were trying to build
They were building a monster.
Yeah, or building a mall or something. They needed to buy the space.
Well, maybe they hired somebody to bomb this place.
Yeah, to demolish
because they wanted to
I'm
build a skyscraper of some sort.
Yeah. It can't be that they wanted to build a monster. They wanted to do something that was not related to him, because if they did something related to him, it's contrived and stupid. If they do something super selfish and it has no concern for human life, then we get it that they made him and he gets sucked into their fold. It makes they just took advantage of the situation. They figured out, oh man, we made him, but who cares, right? Like, we're going to use him for this task.
We're going to use his passion and anger to feed us our pants.
So not only did this company kill his family, now that he's working for them, he's actually, maybe they're contracting him to kill the people in the rest of his building. like his landlady, everybody he hold.
I think it should be broader than that. A little bit more like it's just the class. Because we could just pinpoint it to one location, but I think it might be interesting if it wasn't just one location, because if we're focusing on class, then we need to just focus everywhere.
I agree. I think we need to make it so that Mr. Meatpants is the Candyman, is Jason Voorhees, is Freddy Krueger, in so much as our movie is not about him so much as it's about our main character or characters who have a run-in with him. And then we discover throughout the course of the film the actual story. Because if you remember, Candyman was like a crazy mythical creature with a meat hook for a hand and who could like summon bees through his mouth or whatever. But he actually had a real story. Right. His character had a legend, but that legend was so far removed from the innocent guy who turned into a bad guy that he was just a demon at the end of the movie, right? And I think that's how we get to Mr. Meatpants is we have somebody have to discover. That's why I figured somebody who's like a social worker or somebody who works at a hospital or something and is caught up in this scenario. What if it's fucking the worst of the worst? What if we have like deep down fucking gang members against Mr. Meatpants? Like,
totally would make sense.
You see what I'm saying? And
then it's like that moral decision, whether who's right or wrong.
Right. Is it the guy like killing people and taking chunks of their skin, or the drug dealers? Like who are we with and why? And that lets us ride a nice moral line. Patrick, you're not saying anything, number one, but number two, the things you have said make me believe you actually might like this premise.
Jump in, man. Jump in, dude.
It sounds like you like the premise.
The pool is nice and warm,
I love
dude. I like that. I think that's a good idea. So maybe we should focus about the whole characters around these street thug sort of people. It doesn't have to be any particular race or anything like that. Just street kids.
Right.
Who somehow stumble upon it. There's different kinds of characters.
So is Mr. Meat... Well, let's just clarify what Mr. Meatpants is. Is he just the procurer of these
I think
pieces
it would be,
of flesh, or...
No. I think that he should be a literal person that has maybe been... He's done so many bad things in the name of anger and revenge, I guess, in a way, that he's sort of become some sort of supernatural entity in a way, maybe.
Can I counter that? I actually,
go.
I have the idea that he is like high class, perfectly groomed, perfectly maintained,
pet,
manscaped, fucking tailor. And he has a tailor shop. And it's like, nobody knows it's this guy. After hours, he's a seething rage machine who was pushed there by the inequities of the classist system. Like, again, like it's a drug-related thing. It's a drive-by. It's some kind of very obvious, very, very stereotypical urban blight problem. It's as though the sale of the lower-class people's livelihood murdered his family.
Okay.
Right? That who is selling these people their drugs? It's the lower class people themselves. So there is a built-in tradition / social system wherein the lower class keeps itself the lower class by selling itself to rich, higher class people.
Okay.
So his pendulum swing response is to say, fuck it, I'll go all the way. You're selling your backs. I'll sell your backs.
Like Fight Club, where they were stealing the fat to make soap to sell it back to the fucking rich white people.
It's the same thing, except that it's a little on the nose. It's literally straight up, I will sell the skin off your back like you have been doing for so many years. Who's suffering in this? Obviously, the murdered people are suffering, but what is his statement? Is he against the upper middle class or the upper class? Is he against them, or is he servicing them? Or like, it'd be cool if there was a twist where he's also going to destroy the upper class. Like,
that's what I like. I like that.
The whole system.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like maybe somehow the lower class somehow mingles with him. And then they somehow kind of make him see the light, and then he goes after all the rich people. So it's this like torture revenge sort of feel where it's like this big payoff. It's like all these like really disgusting rich people who are kind of like really just dark.
Did you ever see the post-apocalyptic movie with the guy and the dog?
Oh, The Boy and His Dog.
I Am Legend.
No, not I Am Legend. Sorry, this is A Boy and His Dog.
Yes,
A Boy and His Dog. A Boy and His Dog. Remember when he was brought into the weird underground like rich people place?
Sex lair.
But they were like they had fake faces and shit, and like that's the kind of weirdness I'm seeing from this upper crust. It's kind of like Get Out times 10.
Right.
Or like Eyes Wide Shut kind of thing.
Yeah. Eyes Wide Shut meets Get Out is kind of what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
they have parties where they wear their outfits.
Like their meat suits. Right?
Their meat suits.
Yeah, it's like a private party, maybe.
Maybe they do this weird apish, like stereotypical, like they act urban. Like you know what it is? Oh god, we can
They
make
have
so many
plays, maybe
we
like
can make
that?
so many statements in this. It's the modern blackface, right? Like they actually wear black faces. That's
or
how
just lower
horrible-
class of any sort, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm using the term blackface because that's the hot button term. It definitely, I think we should address the fact that people still fucking do that, and it's like not okay.
Yeah.
But I think that we can wrap this. I don't know. Maybe this is too much.
We're dancing on a very dangerous line, but I
Right.
think we can pull it
I think
to
if we can appropriately ride the line, we can make the right
Right.
state, which is like this is horrific, and the ideas. Okay, so there's this idea that if you remember the movie Unforgettable,
Irreversible?
Irreversible, yeah, it's a movie about rape revenge. And
Yeah,
it's,
dude, that is the biggest
it
rape
is-
scene in a movie ever.
it is so damaging.
It's like 15 minutes of rape, dude.
Really?
And they're Italian, so they did it. They did
Yeah.
the whole thing. They made it happen. Obviously, it was not real rape, but it was they
Don,
went.
you're traipsing some dangerous territory right now.
You can misinterpret what I said. Is like they're Italian, so they rape. That's not what I said.
You can't win here.
I am dating an Italian girl. This did not happen. They pushed it so far that it was not questionable. You could not question their purpose after
Right.
that. Right. After that scene, if you haven't turned the movie off, which if you have, you are a functioning human being. Good job. And I think that movie, no, honestly, I think the movie deserves that movie. It's a good litmus test. I watched it because I'm a filmmaker and I wanted to see how the fuck you resolve that.
Right.
But as a human, turning it off is an option, and I think it's a good option. After that moment, they've bought your morals. I feel like what we can do is if we do hit it hard enough at the front, we can then justify
I agree.
results which in the end what we're looking for, honestly, as a filmmaker, we're looking for some entertaining kills, we're looking for some gore, and we can support a very real and very good statement, which is, hey man, get some fucking perspective. We are living off of the people that we are destroying and putting down, right? Like, I think that's something that we can say, how stealing from the poor to enrich yourself is a thing that happens. We have a president.
Right.
I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to say? Like, this is a thing that's happening now. That literally taking culture from people is a thing. Like, so what you have is just the purest, most visceral version of that. And then once we hit that note early on, we can then pay attention to killing people.
Well, and yeah, exactly, because then the retribution is that much.
Yeah.
It's that much tastier. It's
So
that much more delicious.
good characters who've been gang brothers or gang sisters or gang whatever they're part of for long enough that they have a functioning relationships with each other and some infighting and just stuff to spice it all up. So we can pit 5 people, 3 of whom love each other, 2 of whom are wild cards, against a terrifying character who happens to kill people and
then somehow turns his hatred.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't side with him in the beginning, but at the end you are all for.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I
Hellraiser
agree.
2. It's Hellraiser 2. It's getting seriously, it's getting the lead Cenobite to be on your side by appealing to what made him the lead Cenobite in the first place. If we can do something like that, I think that would be super legit. So the bad guy is Mr. Meatpants, but the Mr. Meatpants is actually the lever with which our heroes save the day and save their section of the city.
Maybe the guy who owns the tailor shop that he works at has been doing this for years.
Okay.
And is apprenticing under him until he finally comes into this whole making suits out of flesh.
But how does his family die? Like, there's got to be that
Yeah,
moment.
Well, maybe he's been apprenticing for a while, so much so that he considers this guy like a father, that he knows the ins and outs of his life.
Well, maybe there's several Mr. Meatpants.
Okay.
Maybe his initiation to prove himself to the upper class is to kill the old Mr. Meatman and then step up out of revenge for his family that died in the burning building, I think we said. I don't remember.
The worry about that is that we lose track of his. Like, one of the central ideas that was really fun early on was the idea that he hated the culture he came from, or because the rampant crime is what killed his family.
So he
and
should
then-
just be a tailor right off the bat.
Yeah.
And his family dies, and then maybe
I think what we find
he
out
has a
is-
shop in the lower class section, but all the rich people come in the middle of the night, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, no, I like that. And then I think what we find out later through some really weird means is we find out that actually his family wasn't killed by gang violence or whatever. It was all a fucking setup, which
To make him into the
to make him into this guy who'd been functionally working for Taylor Company or whatever.
his own mom
yeah.
and pop store, sort of.
Yeah, and they thought we need an in, and this would be a great way. And he's not the only one. And maybe that's the idea. He's not the only, not necessarily Taylor, but the only person that they have enlisted to turn against their own people under the guise of their own people being the worst, which I think is actually a nice statement, because that is the perpetuation of stereotype and stuff by modern media and like privileged classes. It does cause in to some percentage the inherent perspective that the urban class sort of bracket is a certain way, right? We see it in television, we see it on TV, we see it in movies, we see it. It's constantly beat a certain way. The drum is being beat so much. I can't imagine that the social pressures being put on any urban environment by the outside, by the people who are making the rules and making the media and making the movies and making the choices about who to cast and whatever. That can't not affect the society, right? So you have a group of people, kind of like in the you mentioned the Purge earlier. You have a group of people making these murderers who are commoditizing in different ways, like the inner city. They make it a meat market. It's not just clothes. There are eyeballs that are getting purchased. There are
Like organs and
organs and blood and whatever. I feel at this point we're getting a little bit too
A little wild.
Well,
But
no,
maybe you
get
can
out.
dip into that towards the end of the movie where you
Well,
find out
yeah,
that there's
maybe
more people
the
under
whole
this.
thing is focused on that guy, like you're saying,
Right.
And then you find out that they send other ones to fight him as he's going to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole society and a whole what do you call it? I don't want to say hierarchy of, like he's just a knight.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? For them. And they're like the king and the queens up there at the top of the tower while he's out doing all the bidding. But all these other knights start to go against him because he now has changed his mind somewhere, at some point, for some reason, because of these pawns, so to speak, or gang kids or whatever.
I was going to say, maybe he finds out through these people that he's captured that they were set up to kill his family, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it was. Like
Right.
he thinks it's maybe like the lower class
Yeah.
eating itself, essentially.
Yeah.
And it seems that way to even the viewer.
Right.
But towards the end, you realize that they were the ones that sort of orchestrated this out of not necessarily for him specifically,
No.
but just that's who they are.
Yeah.
Right. That's just how they work. That's their template.
Yeah, they try to squash the lower class to do their own bidding or whatever. Maybe it's a building, maybe it's a business venture, maybe they want to make a parking lot so they can make, whatever. They destroy a school so they can build a parking lot or whatever.
Right.
Whatever it is money based, obviously. But then, so what is Mr. Meat Pants, the one of the knights, so to speak? What does he look like? Like, that's what I want to envision, and I think...
I have in my brain a really well put together, really tight, like really sharp looking dude.
I like that idea. I like the clean cut, like super sharp.
clean.
Are we going like
Shave
middle-aged,
head.
old, young?
Middle-aged,
Middle-aged, yeah.
Yeah, middle-aged. Thin and tall. Everything is perfectly tailored, and he's intimidating to look at. He's not a horror figure. He's, I don't know, just some cool-looking dude who, like, if just any person saw him on the street, you'd think that's a high-class motherfucker. Like,
Right.
oh, shit, right? And that's to show the dichotomy. He's always perfect. He always smells of some kind of like wonderful bouquet, like some kind of beautiful aftershave plus cream plus whatever, and there's not a hair out of place. His
So he's like
eyebrows-
Patrick Bateman.
So,
he's better than
colored.
Patrick Bateman.
so was he originally this way? Or
No,
he,
I think originally I think this is an obsession.
Right.
This is
Okay. Because
his
he's now trying to
response.
he's trying to peacock himself for the
Yeah.
upper class
Yeah, absolutely.
because he wants to have an air of what he thinks is the better half.
And
of-
what he doesn't know and can't understand, at least at this point, because he's gone crazy, is that they will never look at him as a real member
as an
of their.
equal, right?
Okay.
He's always an animal to them.
So
And that might be the hook. That might be our into converting him, right?
Okay. So he thinks of himself as an instrument because
Right, because the world that he comes from is eating itself in his eyes. When in reality, and this is where we get to make our statement, in actual reality, it's doing so at the hand of an upper class that's destroying it. And that's reality. I'm talking about outside of the movie. That's reality.
He thinks of it as justice, but really it's
right.
their hand.
It's their hand, and it is always their hand. And I believe any society with bifurcation or inequity, you can never look at the underprivileged side of that and blame them. That's fucking. You can blame them for a percentage of the action. Every individual who does a horrific thing in that scenario deserves personal responsibility for being an adult and making a terrible decision. But you cannot ignore that decision was made under ridiculous circumstances that no human being should be put through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So,
yeah.
that's the big moral line, and he crosses it in the wrong direction. He says it must be the whole, look at these animals destroying themselves.
I like the idea that maybe his family burned alive.
Yeah.
Somehow. In his like shitty apartment, whatever it is, maybe they instigated some sort of riot in the streets to try to orchestrate some sort of message. And then they paid some people to be like firebombing places or something like that.
Yeah.
We don't find that out obviously till later, but they set the building on fire and they can't escape.
Right.
On all this, maybe he sees his wife and his child screaming at the window trying to get out. Yeah. Maybe she tries to break out and literally falls on the ground on fire.
Yeah.
In front of him.
I like that, dude.
That kind of thing. Because then that really builds the hatred.
It does. And I think the thing to keep in mind is that we could have. There is tension in that building. It could be a project building, or it could be an inner city rundown building. Or I think a lot of the inner city Detroit stuff that I
let's use that. I mean,
it could be such a situation where there is in that building there are drug dealers and there is stuff, but there's also normal families, right? And I think his immediate thought, he has been brainwashed by the system to think that if something bad happened in his building, it must be those damn drug dealers, or whatever.
The ones that he felt uneasy around, or his kid was uneasy. Who
he saw doing deals at night and yelling at each other, and there being a shooting down the street or whatever. Like that, he makes the assumption that is the lever the upper class always uses.
Right.
It knows that everyone will assume it, so go ahead and do it. Assume that. So he turns on his own people. Pendulum swings the opposite direction.
No, I like it.
Well, we got to get some kills. I want to get the look of him down so that we can.
The flashback, the burning wife and kid in front of him. We got to make that not ridiculous and funny, but we have to go all the way. We have to see the kind of horror that would crack a man's brain, right? And we want to see it. We want to see his wife melting and screaming and clawing toward him.
Right.
Holding the baby out who's on fire. We got to show the whole thing. And it's got to be the worst. You got to feel,
and then after all that happens, maybe some rioter hits him in the face.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where it just adds that extra hatred, like how dare you while my wife is dying, my child, touch me in this moment. You don't expect it.
Maybe he gets mugged.
He's not the only one who believes in this building that it is a drug-related attack. One contingent of gang folk who live in that building believe it's an attack as well.
Right.
And they don't know who it's from, and there's just gang violence going everywhere. Like in the late 90s in Los Angeles when the gang versus gang shit was at a major pitch.
Yeah.
Again, what I don't want to do is say, this is what it's like in the inner city.
Right.
These are gang people. I want to show to the best of my ability, unfortunately for this particular subject matter, as a white filmmaker, I want to show what I feel that kind of pressure can do to any group of people.
Yeah.
And it's not all African Americans, and it's not all Mexicans, and it's a mixed race group of people who are being
period straight up.
It's they're being put through the ringer here, and their only response is to fight back in his moment of loss. I think maybe he carries a scar. Maybe he gets hit in the face with a baseball bat or something happens, and when you see him when he finally steps out and he's in his suit and it's all it's a shark skin tie and he looks so fucking awesome. He's got that scar.
Oh, I got it. He gets taken to the hospital, can't afford the bills kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And they foot the bill, some random stranger of some sort. It's I'm going to pay for this because of what happened to you. Just sort of playing him like a fiddle.
Yeah. What if it's his boss? He's a tailor apprentice. he lives from paycheck to paycheck doing shitty work for a tailor. It's mostly getting fucking supplies or whatever else because he wants to make his own clothing lines and have his own tailor shop. But this tailor dude is this like ultra upper crust white bro who pays for the hospital bills and is like, listen, I see you've finally been crushed by your people.
Right.
You know what I mean? He sees the
fucking
opportunity.
indoctrinating or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Brainwashing them.
Brainwashing him, yeah. Just feeding off of his anger.
Yeah, and he realizes at that point, this tailor who had played with the idea of using human flesh as clothing but didn't have an opportunity to actually like wholesale make it happen until he realized he found a guy he could actually set loose on this. He could stay 10 steps away from and say, I don't know, that's just inner city, bro. But in reality, he's pushing him toward this.
The only problem I have with that is that morally he might have a little bit of an issue with it.
Yeah,
whereas
you're right.
he's
it's got to be his choice, right?
Yeah, it's got to be his choice because it's like, I'll let you die or I'll help you if you help me.
Right.
And you can get revenge on the people
Yeah.
who did this to you and your family. And then they help him. And then he starts to grow kind of a taste for it.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean?
He thinks he's a superhero. He thinks he's like,
Right.
he's saving people. He's
justice and embodiment of justice.
He's a Taylor Batman.
Right.
Only
A literal
super
Taylor,
not.
man. So he starts working on the flesh. Like, he doesn't actually have to deal with the bodies at first. But he's actually tailoring the flesh behind the scenes while doing the regular tailor stuff.
Yeah.
He sells it at first, then he starts tailoring it. Maybe his boss dies, or maybe he pushes him out to do it. This is where I need you to stand up, and goes out, and they start picking people that he doesn't feel bad about at first, because then it's like kind of like slides him into the killing mode.
Right, maybe like a gang that...
Right, yeah. Like he sees somebody like fight, and they somehow, it's like almost like they know what has happened, even though they weren't around, and so they push him into that hatred. He starts killing those kids or whatever, like the people that like these thugs or whatever that are like fucking hurting like innocent people or whatever, like something like that. It just feels like it would make more sense just because he would have issue because he's not a horrible person, but it's a slow burn, slow process. And it could be years later. And then that's when, he starts going out and killing, but we don't know. Maybe we don't know all of that. Maybe there's just like flashes of all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I do. I don't think we should.
Because we want to make him like a killer, so we don't want everybody to think he's a nice guy.
No, this is stuff that should be revealed later in the movie. The movie needs to start.
This is the backstory.
Yeah, he's already full Mr. Meat Pants when the movie starts. He is full bad guy, and we need to only be given some of this information. Because Mr. Meat Pants 2, we need to get the whole history. For Mr. Meat Pants 1, it's mostly about our characters. So I think we should pivot into our
kills.
Yeah, who our characters are and how the thing rolls.
Right. So this is years later, past the backstory, I'm saying. He's out on the prowl killing people. There's some gang kids. Maybe the story even open. Maybe
it's
the
almost
story
boring to him now. Like Mr. Meat Pants is a wholesale, like it's become, it's not.
It's
not
like routine kind of thing.
Yeah,
he wakes up,
totally
he does
routine,
this, and that's what he does.
Maybe there's just like, he's almost like Spawn in a way, like pulling people in the shadows almost. What are their main characters? Like, what are they? We're going to make them sort of, not necessarily gang members, but just like street kids.
Maybe they could have been people like they were squatting.
2 guys, 2 girls. I mean, like a guy, 3 guys, 1 girl. Like, what do you want?
I think it's 3 guys, 2 girls. That's a good setup.
Good balance, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get some kills, at least 3.
Yeah.
We got to have a middle change point because we need to know what affects him to make him hate them and realize. Right. So obviously, it's probably the information about them getting paid to kill them.
Right.
Like, not them specifically, but that building.
So when we're going into the movie, beginning of the movie, and like opening credits are over with, we're into the movie.
Right.
Now, we're going to show him being at his optimal form, right? He is Mr. Meat Pants at this point, and maybe he's on the prowl. You see the first kill. You know how I see this movie? I kind of see it like a modern-day Jack the Ripper. But he's not...
class
that's basically what we're saying. Like he is preying on a disadvantaged group of people. Jack the Ripper preyed on prostitutes, obviously.
Right.
And he's doing it because nobody cares, and he's doing it in our movie for reasons that are a little more socially. I mean, I guess murdering anybody is always socially shitty. But he's doing it for frivolous reasons that are horrendous. I dig the idea of us getting out the idea that he's doing this as a metaphor, right?
Which metaphor, though? What
The metaphor of disadvantaged sell themselves to the advantaged.
Right.
Okay. On the grand scale, he's actually an arbiter of the future, or whatever bullshit idea that he thinks is real, and we have to stop him or change him. Maybe what we have is a pair of our characters are siblings, and one of them has made the choice to be a participant in illicit activities, and the other one is more toward the straight and narrow, right? We can explore the theme of judgment in that regard. The more gang-ish sibling can always point out that thinks he's better or she's better than the more gang active.
Okay.
One of them can carry the you should be doing quote unquote right, and the other one can carry the what you're being told is right is actually against your own class and people and stuff. And that can be our sort of reflection of the larger problem that Mr. Meatpants represents, right? So in the end, the major change is one of them sees the other one's side, or they both see each other's side and one of them sacrifices him or herself, right? Like the gang one says, you know, I'm doing this for the greater good or whatever, or the non-gang one sacrifices himself for the good of he or she is the sort of the better one, the one who's going to make it out.
The opportunist sort of?
Not necessarily like in the negative way, but in the sort of like, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to become a lawyer or a doctor.
Okay.
Like you guys are fucking around with drugs and whatever. And he or she, I'm going to say he just as a wrote because I'm a dude and I apologize, but or let's just say she. Let's pick one. Let's say she. She's a.
I liked her to be like the main one. That would be good.
Like the heroine.
So she's a like the final girl or whatever.
Right.
She's a survivorship bias. So she's done a little well in school and gotten a little more opportunity because she might be a little smarter or whatever, or maybe just whatever random effect, but because of it, she thinks that if you don't do as well as she does, it's your choice. You've chosen to be a gang member. You've chosen this, that, else. She's towing the line, the dangerous line that gets people in trouble.
Right. So she can sort of So it's setting it up so that she can sort of somewhat, whenever she finds out about Mr. Meatpants.
Right. But we have to go with her to turn on that, right? To see that she was super wrong. She got fucking lucky. She got lightning in a bottle. She was,
right.
She had a couple opportunities other people didn't have, but those other people were just as valid in doing what they were doing. They were trying just as hard, right? But she sees it as, well, if I can do it, why can't everyone? If I can get a college acceptance, why can't everyone? If I can, do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if I cannot do drugs, why does anybody do drugs? And it's that sort of ignorant, superior feel. And her arc is to see that same thing represented in a fucking murderer who makes clothes out of people.
Right. Okay.
And it turns out the real hero is her brother or sister who has sacrificed him or herself to save her.
And that's what changes.
It.
Okay. Obviously, these main 5 characters that we're talking about, one of them has to see Mr. We'll just call him
the tailor.
Yeah,
He's
the tailor, also known as Mr. Meatpants, so to
Yeah.
speak. Yeah, the tailor goes out and he kills some people near those street sort of kids.
Yeah.
So one of them has to see it. The other ones don't believe it, sort of thing. I know this is kind of a typical trope. That person, he or she, has to convince the others that something bad is happening while they're making fun of them, sort of thing.
We actually open the movie on the burning building.
Right. I
and
agree.
we see all this horrible shit, so we can buy some expository time from the audience, right? So we see all this shit, we get everybody amped up, and then we can like do some talking. What we do is we take the main character and we scar his face, and then in the movie when we see Mr. Meatpants as the character, we do give him some kind of cover. It's a mask or something, and it
or
can
just
be made
don't
out of
show his face.
Or we just never see it. Yeah, it's
like he's
the
always
usual
in the shadows,
suspects, or
like
whatever,
silhouette
right?
kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, the usual suspects kind
or
of thing.
behind him or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those gang members is actually one of the people that set fire to the building, but they were used as a tool too, and that's how the whole thing comes together. That they were both tools. Do you know what I mean? Like Mr. Meatpants.
Yeah, they were paid. They were paid. It turns out they were paid a bunch of money to set the building on fire, and they were okay with it because the rival gang was in there anyway, and so he just saw it as, some stupid white dude giving him a bunch of money to affect violence against people they were already planning to affect violence against anyway.
Yeah, or maybe one of their friends got killed and
it's
drug
a legitimate
members.
beef. It's a legitimate beef.
Right.
It's just that somebody was taking advantage of the beef and turning it into a way for them to get the building or the property or the whatever we determined it was going to be.
Yeah, and somewhere along the lines, one of those remaining members realizes that he's that guy.
Yeah.
That they saw the burning lady and the child. Yeah. And then they realize that that's who it is because they see his face.
How about this person? This person has a breakdown, right? Like this person recognizes when we figure out what's happening or somehow figure out a bit of what's happening, this person has a suspicion.
This is the turning point in the middle of the movie,
Yeah.
And maybe the guy who gave him the scar is actually in his basement or wherever he's holding him, and that's the guy that divulges the rest of the information to him?
Maybe.
Or is that too close?
It might be too much.
That's a bit, it's a bit too
It's
much.
a little
be
too
too much,
coincidental.
Yeah, because, I don't think that they should really know each other until that final moment.
One of our guys is the guy who hit him in the face with a baseball bat.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's not in a basement or whatever. He's one of our guys. And it's not a coincidence because the reason we're following these guys, he's carrying around this weight of having been in the life for a while, right? And he did this terrible thing that he found out later was a terrible thing. He thought he was fighting the good fight, but it turns out, that building was not actually entirely a drug building. It was families were in there, lots of families.
Right.
He's carrying this shit around with him, and he hit this dude in the face, and he hopes to God that if that dude survived, that guy found some way to forgive him. But it turns out that dude is fucking Mr. Meat Pants.
No, I like it.
And it's not coincidental. It's not like, oh, isn't that a bit too coincidental? Because the reason we're following this group of people is because of that. Because those two paths are going to meet again.
And maybe when he's about to kill that one guy at whatever point it is.
Yeah.
That's when he divulges the information about, maybe the guy's, wetting himself, crying, whatever it is. That's when it triggers in his head that he's being used just like them.
That's fair, but I don't want that to be during that moment because I want there to be some sort of headiness to the idea that Mr. Meat Pants doesn't care that the guy is the guy who hit him in the face.
So he kills him anyway and then goes after the upper class kind of thing?
I think that guy who hit him in the face might be the second or third kill, but not the turning point kill, because I want you to see that he's so far gone that even you can't just show him the picture of him before he was Pinhead and he's going to be
right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
What you're saying.
It's not enough. He's just another gang member to this guy.
Maybe we shouldn't jump into that too quick. Maybe we should try to come up with a few kills.
Yeah, that's fine.
How he kills them. What is his tool? What does he use?
I think that he's just
scissors.
Like I said, no, definitely anything from tailoring. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
No, definitely.
He has a case
tailoring.
full of all these specific tools that he like Jack the Ripper, and he's very precise about it.
Right.
I think it'd be cool if he strung you up and measured you. You know how when they have the blank for the suit, they put pins in it.
Right.
Where things are going to be. He's shoving these fucking pins in people.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they're screaming when he's not paying attention. And he's dropping to the ground and measuring the inseam and shoving fucking nails in there.
And putting the pins in
and he doesn't talk. He's just he's just doing it out of method.
You should have a few lines here and there where he makes tailory comments. Or how about something like he asks what do they wash with? What chemicals they use on their body?
Yeah. Right.
Or what if he had a ledger and he writes down facts about the suit that he's making or the subject, and he's subject is 5'11", and it's an autopsy or something, only he's doing tailory shit and he doesn't talk directly to them, so he could smell them, he could smell what kind of product they're using. He knows what kind of product they use,
yeah, that's kind of dark. Gives a nice long whiff next to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And that gives us an opportunity, when he gets to different people, to give interesting and strange responses. If it's the first person he kills, it's very clean and we understand exactly. He knows all the whatever. But the other one is there's no fragrances, and it seems like he hasn't washed in a day, or we'll have to bleach this and this kind of thing.
He scrubs them down with bleach or something. Yeah. Maybe they need a specific style, so they bleach his skin a little bit, or that'd be kind of interesting.
And maybe he hunts different races for their skin color,
Asians,
blacks.
And he doesn't. I think a cool statement we could make with him specifically is, at a certain level, the classist concern no longer concerns races. Races become styles of the day.
Right.
Right. And that's to the people above him, race is just a different style.
Yeah, it's no different than picking blue over a red shirt.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's
whatever.
a good way to make that statement. The like, what is it that the weird like I'm colorblind statement that completely throws away the cultural experiences of the people you're talking about. Like right. I'm a white dude. I'm totally colorblind. I have 6 black friends. Like that's like the worst thing. So that kind of punches that, right? They're like, to these people, race is so far removed from anything that they would consider cultural or valid that it's basically just a style of. It's like a blue shirt versus a red shirt, like you said.
Right. Yeah. It's got to be something like that, because then it turns it into anyone, and that's a little more scary. It's more. It's 100% focused on the class, and not anything else. So that will affect a lot of people.
I agree, and I think that there could be a turn in the movie where you realize that it started as like the excuse was it was an inner city cultural thing.
Like we push it that way to make people think that.
That's the entry point, but you start realize that it's becoming quite popular to get the skin of people who have used more expensive product.
Or what if it's like a thieves coat or a. You know what I mean? Like they have different attributes for someone that's a murderer. They call it for everything that those people do. Like this is a liar's coat. This is a thieves coat. This is a.
So you're kind of going like in the direction of Seven, but with clothes.
Maybe. I mean, it would be different because then it's just that's more the style,
right?
Like it's not necessary. It's like you would buy like a red foxtail coat or whatever. They're faster or whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be about the race necessarily. Just their attributes of what they got caught doing or what they're doing. That's interesting though. So what's his weapon of choice? We do the tailor. He
has a kit, like a tailor kit that you can see him unzip. He like slowly unzips it and opens it.
Oh yeah.
Right. He uses something to puncture and then uses scissors to cut up.
Yeah.
He actually cuts them alive.
I think he should do it live. Maybe we can pivot. We said earlier that they can't be afraid or it'll change it. I think fear actually is what we want. It releases some hormone or something that makes the skin easier to tan.
A thicker hide.
Yeah, a more resilient hide or something.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. The first person that he kills, one of the like street kids sees the guy. Like, does he kill them in the street sometimes?
I originally had the idea that he kills them in the street, but maybe
drag him back.
Maybe it depends on the work that he's doing.
Yeah, I like that. I like if he's just. What if he needs somebody to be like a living dress form? Like he has somebody tied up, like on a post, because he believes like they have to bleed into the skin to keep it
over several days or whatever.
Yeah,
it has
so it's like a curing kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cured with the blood of this person.
Okay,
so it's a very specific process, very tedious.
Maybe
like
each one suit takes 2 lives. Like every outfit is 2 lives because he has to have
one for the skin and one for the blood.
One for the form, like the.
Right.
I just want there to be a scene where he's like a seam ripper. You ever seen one of those rip seams?
Oh yeah.
Maybe there should be like a scene like that where he's just like taking all the nails off a human before he takes the whole flesh. He wants to get the whole flesh in like one pull. But he wants to get rid of the fingernails first.
And then start stripping it back.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Man.
Like when you skin a rabbit or something.
Or like when you break a chimp's arm. Well, you just said like when you skin a rabbit, like we all just do that. Like, I know, I've skinned rabbits.
Maybe he uses like, I know this is a little out there, but he uses like people's tongues to make thing in the pocket.
The lapel?
Yeah.
Let's go all the way, and let's say that the tongues of the shoes that he makes are actual human tongues. They're dried out and thinned out or whatever, but it turns out they're actual human tongues.
Like
that seems interesting.
Filleted, like really thin. Okay.
And leathered up.
And maybe shoes are like the best, depending on how your stature is in the upper class. Is based on your shoes. Yeah. I don't know. Something like that. That's good. So what other death do we have? We got to get another one in there.
Yeah, we have to have
maybe one of the friends or whatever.
Well, one of the girls, I think that there should be some overtly sexually motivated death. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to twist the traditional, like, let's put breasts in the movie and, like, turn it so that we don't do that, but we instead do something that destroys that concept. But maybe that's too many statements. Maybe we're trying to make
like a nipple hat. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God, no, I think that's too many statements. I think I'm trying to be too progressive.
It might be a little harder to figure that one out.
We're already trying to like make a big statement about classism and
yeah, I know. We're layering it with extra stuff.
Yeah. So maybe not. Maybe it's not overtly sexual. Maybe it's just gory as fuck.
We made some headway here. All we really need to do is the turning point, which we kind of know. We just need to like describe that, and then we need to show. Then I think we need to show him killing, or explaining how he fights against some of the knights. Just a couple of them somehow kills them, then goes after and starts murdering all the other rich people.
Maybe he doesn't get redeemed. This could be dead wrong, but maybe. To infiltrate, one of our hero characters actually wears his skin suit to go to like the board meeting or whatever.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know, but then the justice isn't there. The retribution is not. Yeah. It's not as juicy.
You're true.
I think the poetic justice is that he finally realizes what he's done wrong. Somehow murders all of them and himself, I guess, in the process. Like, he has to die with...
He has to die.
Somehow, he has to die on his way. So what's the turning point? We know that he finds out somehow that they were hired to murder or to burn this building. He realizes that it wasn't their fault necessarily. He doesn't care. He's just such an angry thing, but then
he's a monster.
Yeah, he just turns his hatred a little bit towards the rich people. Maybe he kills one of the people that come, like, because we were talking about how the rich people would come late at night to buy all these nice goods.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe one of the higher ups comes and he murders them, and one of them escapes, like maybe their assistant or whatever. And then
what's the twist? Like, there's a twist, right? Like, I don't want the twist to be like everyone in the hood is wearing white people skins. That's the worst.
No, I don't want to do that. I think it has to be. I think we should keep it like rich people.
Yeah.
And they only have these galas, these like flesh galas.
Yeah.
Where they do these.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be better because if
it keeps it more about the selling of skins rather than some kind of overt racial statement, which I don't.
Yeah,
think
that would be like part 2.
Yeah. That's when the asshole director comes in and doesn't know what the movie's about.
Exactly. Like, what if everybody was wearing flesh?
Yeah.
Okay, so he kills one of the main people. Maybe it's just someone that comes in all the time, who's a higher up, not the highest, obviously, but maybe the lackey of the highest.
What? Well, he hasn't. Is he at that point yet? Have we got to that point?
Well, yeah, because he's already figured out. We didn't really explain detailed how he finds out necessarily. We can do that, but I mean, we're trying to keep it somewhat light.
Well, here's something. What if you were saying the guy with the scar that gave him the scar? Maybe he's already chained up with them, right?
Right.
And that girl has those preconceived notions about poor people not doing their part. Maybe it comes to a head where he has to, put up or shut up and, help her somehow.
Wait, which one?
The guy who started the fire to kill the guy's family.
Okay, so
helps
he's got to
the girl
sacrifice himself, or
he has to sacrifice himself to save her.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe he steps in the way.
Right. Maybe he's taken her off somewhere and he's gotten loose and I don't know. Somehow.
Maybe he tries to pull her out. Maybe she's getting ready to he's putting all the
little marks,
marks on her
marks
with the chalk or whatever he uses, and then he saves her, but then dies in the process.
Yeah, like they're trying to escape together and something happens and he has to be left behind.
They have to have some sort of conversation.
And that's where he lets Mr. Meat Pants knows. Like, you look familiar.
Maybe they finally see his face at this point.
Right, you see his face. Maybe that's the big reveal.
Maybe that's why.
And the scar triggers that.
And he's like, it's you, as he's dying, sort of thing. Like the brother, you're saying?
Right.
So
it's missing a little connective tissue, but I think that's a symptom of what we're doing right now. We're kind of just pitching it. What's the big finale? What's the giant finale?
Well, he's got to fight against the other. We got to reveal that there's other flesh knights, sort of like Mr. Meat Pants is.
Yeah,
is that the proper
like Mr. Eyeballs and Mr. Mr.
Boots?
So
Mr. Liver.
I look at it so if there's these other knights and they come by,
Mr. Flesh,
maybe
Hat,
they're
Mr.
certain,
Flesh
maybe
Boots.
they're like procurers of their own masters or whatever.
Right, like he's Mr. Pants. There's Mr. Hat. There's Mr.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know.
So he's not
maybe-
making suits. He's making pants only. Is that the?
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
He's making suits.
So we don't need to get that intricate.
Right.
Maybe
No,
we'll
no.
just-
I think they're different entire things. Like some person is a blood getter. Like
Right,
he
and
goes
someone gets adrenal glands, and
gallons of
somebody else
yeah,
gets
exactly.
brains, and someone else, stuff
Okay.
like that. So maybe he starts killing these knights off, and maybe he makes a suit out of the knights to go kill this group of higher ups who put this whole thing together.
I think we've gotten too far there. But I think that's good.
it's
I think we
cool,
want that
but-
for later. What I think happens is I think it's good enough if we realize that he is not alone. There are other of these knights. They come for reckoning. They come to put
because
an
of him killing one of the
Right.
lackeys.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They come into the shop very straight-laced, nice-dressed people.
Yeah, and they all fit whatever theme that they're in, right?
Right.
Like, maybe one of them, like the blood guy, is in a biohazard suit, and like I'm thinking of the Purge in
Maybe they're wearing something
with a
that he
shotgun.
wears all the time that they make him wear.
Like
And he recognizes the
insignia.
button.
Yeah.
Like he recognizes that insignia or
Yeah.
something that he's the butcher, he's the
Right.
tailor,
Or
and
it's
he
just like a
sees
little
it on
pin,
them, and he's
right.
like, he has this moment where it's like, oh shit,
Like the blood guy got like the little medical logo on it.
big
And,
fight in the
right.
whole place, like they're
Yeah.
like fucking going at each other
It's
with
on-
scissors,
but-
knives.
he has to burn to death, right? Like he has to burn to death like his wife. Or
At
maybe he
towards
makes
the
them burn
end,
to
at
death.
least, maybe he
That's-
needs to burn the tower.
Yeah, I
wherever
think
the-
that's the end. Is I'm worried that we're making the bad guy the superhero at this point. How do we get out of? How do we have 5 protagonists that we murder and then the guy is great and he's like superhero? That doesn't.
Kind of like it. Like I almost see like this girl who's gotten tied up in this whole thing in the building fire at the end, and he.
This is an alien predator thing, right? We're halfway through. Halfway through, it's not humans anymore. It's the predator we're the fan of.
Right.
Like, so maybe every one of those 5 kids dies, and maybe the last one is the one that the chick, he kills her even, and then goes after them, kind of thing. Or
So
does
we
she-
have the false end. We have where we think she's going to beat him,
right.
and she doesn't.
She stabs him in the side or whatever, and
Yeah,
then she ends up
yeah.
dying, and
Yeah.
then he fights, or I don't know if this is during. Maybe she stabs him while she's fighting these knights, so to speak, or the quote unquote knights.
I don't know that the knight. I don't think she fights the knights. I think
Well, I
the
don't
knights
mean
show
them,
up
I
as
mean-
an addenda.
Oh,
Like-
I see.
Like we think the movie is over. She dies. He dies. But then he doesn't die, and then we get a payoff fight at the end.
Okay. Well, I want him to go to the tower and like start murdering all the like rich people.
I think him showing up outside of the tower with Molotov cocktails or like a thing of gasoline or something.
Right.
That's then we go to credits.
Maybe he goes in like strapped with like a that sounds ridiculous.
Well, we need a Mr. Meat Pants too. So he shows up with gasoline and a Molotov.
Right.
He's stabbed and he's breathing heavy and he gets there to the building, the big either a high rise rich people like apartment condo building or it's like a corporate building like the company building or whatever.
That sounds
And
good.
we do the Mad Max like from the feet up shot of him standing there holding the gas can, like breathing heavily, and then we go to credits because we know Mr. Meat Pants 2. It's gonna be like, remember in Rambo was a fucking monster. In First Blood, that movie's about a monster who comes to town and tries to destroy a town.
Right.
Remember that movie?
Yeah,
That's-
no,
that's good.
I
That's
remember.
what First Blood is about.
First
It's a
Blood,
horror movie,
totally.
and he's a fucking monster, and he's finally talked down in the end to not murder the whole fucking town. Right now, granted, in that movie he doesn't murder anybody, but that's where he's headed real fast.
Right. It's the
They draw
tension.
First Blood. But he's a monster that needs to be quelled. And then in the second movie, he was just a fucking superhero. I think they sent off to.
Yeah, that is kind of so you're right. He needs to be like the sequel. This is the sequel.
We're
Right.
leading to the sequel. I don't want to see the fight. I want to see the lead up. I think he just walks up to the building that's at the address that we've heard it's at or whatever.
Okay.
And he steps up with a gas can and we go to credits. But before that, we've seen this epic battle with all of their
Knights and such.
the knights. Yeah, the knights of
We
the
keep
body
saying
parts.
knights, but it makes sense.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So we see the
Mr.
building
Meat
go up in flames.
No, you don't
Yeah.
even see.
No, we don't even see that. We just see him walk
Just
up with a
the
gas
gas can, and that's it.
Credits.
Okay, and that'll make people want to see the second one. for
Right.
sure.
Exactly. It's the lead up. It's a stinger. It's a stinger for Mr. Meat Pants 2.
All right, so what would the tagline be for this? For Mr. Meat Pants? Maybe something about tailoring?
He's got your measurements.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Every occasion has a suit.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Whatever suits him.
know. Yeah,
That's so bad.
but it's good at the same time.
Tailor-made terror.
There you go. That's
a very 50s
perfect,
kind
dude.
of-
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that is
like-
pretty damn. That's fucking bang on.
Tailor-made terror. I could do that. I picture just him standing in front of a burning building, but
Yeah. That's fair.
but yeah, tailor-made terror sounds perfect.
Tailor-made terror. Mr. Meat Pants. That was a bit heady, guys.
Yeah, we.
Yeah.
A campy ass movie, much more easily.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes they turn out that way. We've come up with like very serious ones. We've come up with very funny ones.
Like the canvas. That
Yeah,
one-
we
that one was
did
serious.
we did one that was like really super like deep. But yeah, man, I thank you so much for coming on, dude. It's been fun.
Yeah, dude. I'd like to point out that the titles I offered were Zero, the Triumvirate, Mr. Meat Pants, Fight, Bite, Destroy, From the Stars, A Secret, Burn Theorem, The Iron Mind, Heavy Water, and The Hate Train.
Yeah,
I think we did a good job.
Those are all pretty cool. I didn't even see all of those.
No, you just sent
No.
the 3.
It just looked like you sent 3.
What?
I still
Yeah.
think out of all those, Fight, Bite, Destroy.
Fight,
Yeah. I
Bite,
wanna see
Destroy.
it.
I think I'm gonna save that for a
That
real
sounds
movie.
yeah. It sounds,
That's your werewolf
it-
movie right there.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Fight,
Oh,
Bite, Destroy.
all right. Well, hey, man, Don, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a
Guys,
pleasure.
thanks for having me. This has been really cool.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to come back on, hang out, we're always open. So
Let's see how the audience likes me. If they hate me, then I'll not come back. If they don't,
I don't even care. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
follow me
down.
on Twitter, Skinny Tie. That's
Yeah.
SKINNYTI.
Oh, we wanted to talk
You can
about-
check out my film company. It's imagosfilms.com. That's IMAGOSFILMS.com. We also have Imagos Films on Twitter. That's pretty legit. If you want to see my game Star Mazer, that's STARRMAZER.com. Go there. We also have a Twitter for that. Again, my Twitter is Skinny Tie. If you want to talk to me directly, I respond to pretty much everything because I'm just a bro making movies and stuff. So you can find me there. If you have Steam, by June 1, Star Mazer DSP should be available again. Check that out. And also, keep your eyes open for Motivational Growth on VHS. Looks like this June we're going to try to make a VHS special edition that will come with a download code. So you don't have to worry too much about actually playing that VHS if maybe you want to keep it pristine or you don't own a VHS player.
And what is your you do streaming too? Do you want to plug
Yeah,
that?
So I'm refitting my stream. We have Star Mazer TV. It's STARMAZER.TV. We do a Star Mazer stream where we have game devs and other people come on and talk about game development and stuff. We haven't run that for a little bit because of our office move. We had a big office move recently. I personally am going to be streaming with a new channel. I'm going to have a YouTube channel and a new stream. It's called Salt and Pepper. It's SAHLT and PEHPPER. I stream with my girlfriend who is Pepper. Pepper Plays on Twitter. It's PEHPPER PLAYS. Pepper Plays. She's a fairly predominant streamer. She runs the Seattle streaming network called SOBA, the Seattle Online Broadcasters Association. She's a pretty hip chick. We're gonna do a YouTube show, a YouTube channel together called Salt and Pepper World. We'll review games and movies and do all kinds of ranty stuff. And we'll also be streaming under that same title. So keep your eyes open for that. The best way to do that though is to follow me on Twitter on Skinny Tie. It's SKINNYTIE, the kind you wear in the 80s. And that I often post there, and there'll be kind of fun news or whatever. If you want to check out my Instagram, you can do that too. But I'm 38, so that's probably not the most interesting Instagram. I'm not an influencer. You will not see my boobs.
It's mind blowing, guys. You gotta add him.
I've got like 68 Instagram viewers. So yeah, keep an eye on that stuff. That's pretty cool. Depth is probably coming out, going to festivals either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But check out the Motivational Growth VHS release. I think that's the biggest, hottest thing coming pretty soon. And I will keep in contact with you guys and hopefully be on your show again.
Let me know about that too. Yeah, for
I
sure.
am dying for that VHS.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, you guys will be first on the list because I know you'll buy it.
Yes. No,
He knows
absolutely.
I'm
dollars.
gonna buy 2 copies, one to open and one to keep.
Yeah, he's like that.
Perfect. I want that.
But yeah, of course. Thank you so much for coming on, and I can't wait to see Depth. So we'll see you soon, man.
Cool, dudes. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for Thursday's episode, part 2, episode 40, with Don Thacker, the Mr. Meat Pants episode. What a crazy name that was. That ended up pretty interesting, man.
It definitely took a turn that I thought it was not going to go.
You know, what's interesting to me is that when we do this, it's like he was surprised that it was serious.
Yeah.
Because we're such silly guys, right? Mm-hmm. And he is too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you never really know where it's going to go. It's like there's like a inner part of your creativity that's like, I have to make this right. And then there's another part of you that's like, fuck it. Like, you know, fuck it. Like, let's just fucking do it. But it just, you never know where it's going to go. And that's what I love about that segment, guys. So, by the way, if you guys ever have a suggestion for a fucking episode or like a grave plots, you can go to longlivethevoid.com. There's an application. You just drop down the menu and pick grave plots and send it to us with your name and where, you know, to reach you if you want or whatever. We're also going to be doing something really big here soon involving our BTV VIP club. So, guys, if you haven't already, you need to sign up for the VIP club, and I'll tell you why. We're putting together a huge, and I'm talking about a huge care package full of fucking movie night madness, like popcorn, fucking candy, food. We're going to put a gift card in there, movies, like all this shit, all for just signing up to get information from us in your email.
Right.
It's that simple.
It really is.
So if you haven't already done that, there's a link below, but you can also always go to the longlivethevoid.com and figure it out. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please follow all the links that Don talked about. I'll try to include most all of them if I can in the information below so that you guys can follow it. Thank you so much, Don Thacker, for being a part of the show. We had an amazing time. It was a lot of fun. It was totally worth changing the format up because we like to mix things up here anyway, right?
Right.
So
get a little crazy.
Yeah, dude, it was fun, man. Like we sat here for like hours.
I
like,
didn't even feel like it.
Just shooting the shit, man.
Right.
So, but I hope you guys really appreciated this episode, the 2 episodes this week. And I guess we'll see you next week on Monday.
Have a good weekend.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in every Monday for a brand new episode.